Hey y'all, hey, it's Katie over at Lunar Ray Wellness. I hope you guys are all doing good. Today I wanted to come back and do a message about a different herb or plant today. So I will still be doing energy readings and things later in my day. But today, right now, this morning, I wanted to take the time and focus on education and let you guys know about Black Cohosh. So, I do still light my candles. I still sage and smudge cleanse and all of the things because I'm a spiritual teacher. And so, whether you are in my 3D or if you are in my spiritual realm, family, spirit family, whatever, I want to welcome everybody around. So, I'm leaning over here to try to get my Palo Santo burning. And incense wise, I have my dragon's blood going, and I also have my third eye chakra as well. Or excuse me, my third eye as well. Okay, guys. So, as always, if you are coming back to the channel, I'm Katie. Hi. If you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a spiritually open environment for you and I to discuss our spiritual lifestyles, our spiritual interests. Definitely no judgment here. I have gone from a year ago being completely unawoke, unaware, and uncaring even about what spirit had for me to now that is completely how I live my life, and that is the way that my cookie crumbles, if you may. As a spiritual teacher, I try to give you guys different perspectives, different education to make you kind of ponder the world around you and give you guys that openness and educate yourself on the wonders around you. Okay, so without further ado, I'm gonna get a drink of water here, and then we are going to get started. Okay, we're gonna be talking about Black Cohosh today. So, Black Cohosh, or Actaea racemosa, okay? This is a plant that is native to Eastern North America, as well as Canada, and it's most commonly seen or used in traditional tribal medicine, but it is slowly making its way into the more modern world, okay? This is a medicine or plant that is most commonly used in women's health because of its properties in regulating the menstrual cycle, as well as helping and alleviating things like night sweats or hot flashes with women that are postmenopausal. So a lot of times this is going to be seen with your women who maybe have had a hysterectomy related to cancer. So if you have your women that have had a complete uterus removal and ovaries at times, because your ovaries are what help regulate your hormones. And we will get into that here in a little bit. But this plant or herb is seen as a natural estrogen, allowing your body to create those normal synergistic phases, allowing your body, just like with our menstrual phase, to allow your hormones to regulate. If you have had a hysterectomy, or if you are a woman that's postmenopausal, you would be able to relate with the fact that if you have had any of this and you have taken away your estrogen producing capabilities, you're going to notice your irritability, you're going to notice your mood swings, you're going to notice your anxieties, you're going to notice all of the things that are not so favorable whenever it comes to these changes, okay? That kind of leads me into the medicinal qualities of this plant, okay? So medicinally, as we have said, this has aided for years, okay? All the way since the 19th century when Carl Linnaeus taxonomized this in our U.S. Pharmacopoeia book. But this has been seen for ages and ages to help with women's health, okay? So aside from this, it was also seen as an antipyretic, so it helped break fevers. It has anti-inflammatory properties that will help in certain things. I had seen in I think the Iroquois. Yeah. The Iroquois Indians used this medicinal in treatment for arthritis pain, okay? And let's see. And we kind of spoke on the fertility side because of the regulation. Now, what I did see, okay, because how black cohosh is going to affect the woman's body to regulate their menstruation is it's going to act on these estrogen receptors, okay? Because in the body, on the top of the kidney, okay, we have something called an adrenal cortex, okay? And your adrenal cortex is going to be what affects in both men and women hormones, okay? So in females specifically, we produce estrogen and progesterone, and slowly as we age, our estrogen production is going to fall off. And this is also going to affect, our other balances like, menstruation and things like that, leading us to menopause. And that's why these things don't start happening until closer to that perimenopausal age, so later 40s, early 50s, right? Because we typically have our menstruation from about the age of 12. Now it's getting younger because of all of the fake stuff that they put in our food, but typically until your mid to later 40s, okay? I think that was bringing me back to the fertility aid. So being that this is going to help regulate you, I had seen how effective that this can be for women with PCOS. My entire life, I have had issues with conception, menstruation, making babies, the cysts on the ovaries, the whole 90 yards, okay? I have had the weight gain that has come from the imbalance in my hormones. I've had the irritability, the mood swings, like you name it, I have dealt with it. Now, I tried the evening primrose, and that is aside from this, but the primrose acts on the body very similarly to the black cohosh, except it regulates more of your like night sweats and things, but it can act on the body very similarly to the black cohosh, regulating your menstruation, maybe even encouraging menstruation, because with PCOS, you don't have that regulatory rate to initiate menstruation at times because of how many cysts have pearlized on the outside of that ovary, causing your body to not be able to allow the follicle, which then turns into that cyst, which can become very painful, which causes the irregularity in the menstrual cycle, and so on and so forth, okay? So, that being said, if you are pregnant, this is not something that you want to consume, especially because of the effects on the uterus that it has. So a lot of times, I don't have the black cohosh in hand to show you, but a lot of times this can be used with something called dong quai, okay, and even St. John's wort, okay, to help regulate your menstruation, as well as if you are in your menopausal stage, this can also help increase your libido as well. So if you are dealing with vaginal dryness, or maybe you're dealing with some uncomfortable sensations during intercourse with your spouse, because in all inevitability, we are all humans, right? And so sex is just part of nature. It's part of the animal kingdom. And I mean, I'm assuming that you guys are all 18 and older coming here. So that being said, sex shouldn't be anything to blink an eye about, right? But just be encouraged not to take this while you're pregnant because of the stimulation that it has on the uterus. That being said, that's why that we have the effect that we do as women with the black cohosh, because of the stimulation on the uterus. Okay, so some other things that you may need to know about the black cohosh is, I always like to touch on the risks, right? So specifically, there are no medications that have been specified by like the USDA or any other medicinal websites that have suggested like, hey, don't take this if you are taking that, or so on and so forth. But what I did see is that there's a lot of hepatotoxic suggestions about this herb. So that being said, if you have hepatitis C, or if you have any kind of liver fibrosis or liver condition, this could probably be very risky for you. You may have instances if you are taking this for longer than a year, because per sources and my book, my National Geographic's book here, it suggests not to take this for longer than a year. Okay, so I tried to highlight better so I can touch on everything. So some physical manifestations of liver issues can be right upper quadrant pain, okay? So same spot where your gallbladder may be, okay? Because the gallbladder sits right in the same region as the spleen and the liver, okay? So you may have some right upper quadrant pain. You may have some darker urine output, and you may become jaundiced. Now, if you've never seen someone with jaundice, I know that a lot of times we hear it more with the babies, right? And the babies have to be put in the little sun machine, or the lighting machine, whatever you want to call that. Typically, it happens more with Native American babies, mine being one of them. They didn't have to be put in the jaundice machine, but they did check the babies very frequently whenever they were babies to make sure their bilirubin levels were not too high. But if you have ever seen somebody with jaundice, you're going to notice that not only is their skin complexion that yellow, yucky, weird color, but the whites of the eyes, are also going to be a yellow color. Okay, so these are physical manifestations that you are having some liver concerns. Okay, and you can also have things as simple as like a rash. You can have decreased heart rate. And of course, because of the estrogen effect on women, you could have some breast tenderness. Now, men, just because that you don't have a hole between your knees does not mean that the estrogen doesn't affect the body the same. Okay? You as a masculine, if you are taking the black cohosh, can also have breast tenderness. Okay, so because I'm not going to go into that right now. I don't want to channel all of that right now, but just know that there's not much difference between a man and a woman besides a letter in their chromosome DNA. But continuing on, the best ways to take this herb, because it's very similar to the dong quai, okay? So it's not going to be like a leaf or anything, because the way that we utilize the black cohosh is going to be the root, okay? So just like with your dong quai, you're going to experience this coming in like a little powdery-esque form. I don't even know how you describe that. So normally this is taken in an encapsulated form, and you can also take this in an extract as well. Now, the suggested amount daily to take, especially if you are a woman that is dealing with menopausal symptoms and you're wanting relief from hot flashes, the suggested amount to take is about 20 milligrams daily for about 8 weeks. Okay. Now, I did want to go ahead and reference if there was any kind of side effects if you were to start slowly tapering off of the black cohosh, but there were none. This is kind of one of those things where if you take it and your symptoms have relieved from what I had saw in my research, but remember, I am not a doctor, you guys. I'm just someone with medicinal knowledge, okay, about herbs. So please take and do your own research or ask your PCP, okay? But from what I had seen, you can take this daily, and once your symptoms have kind of resolved, you can take yourself off of it and see if you have kind of treated yourself, okay? And a lot of times people just kind of stop until they need it again, and so on and so forth. So, um, I I encourage you to research more if this is something you are wanting to pursue, but just know that that's kind of the suggested amount that someone would take on a daily basis. And you can purchase this anywhere between 8 and 160 milligrams daily. A lot of times you can find this at your local health food store. You can buy this on Amazon. I'm sure Walmart.com even sells it. I think I've seen it in Walmart, like in the women's vitamin section or whatever. So you might be able to find it there as well. Now, you're probably wondering why I brought out the Dong Quai and the St. John's wort, and it's because of some of the concoctions that have been made, okay? So specifically for women's health. If you are battling PCOS specifically, a lot of times you have a hard time triggering menstruation, right? And so a lot of times you are going to have to utilize this black cohosh with things like red raspberry leaf, which I do have on my shelf over there. You may also incorporate red clover. I actually, hold on. Yes, I actually still have some of my... I make tinctures, you guys, so I'm trying to find my women's health. Yeah, so this is my women's health tincture that I have made, okay? This can be taken about 3 cc's or 3 milliliters, okay? Whenever you're expected to have like a menstruation cycle if you have PCOS, and this can help stimulate that. Now, the reason why I bring it out is because the red clover that I'm talking about is part of this mixture. It also has some red raspberry leaves and some other feminine health herbs, but just know that this also has the acidity to help with urinary tract infections. So overall, the women's health tincture that I have is kind of a universal women's health, which is why it's so, it's one of those things where you don't take it while you're pregnant, or if you even expect that you are pregnant, I wouldn't even take this with the expectation of possible pregnancy, because it stimulates all of that blood flow to kind of pull to your, sacral chakra region where your reproductive system is, and all of that. But we'll go all into the chakra part here in just a few minutes, okay? Now, aside from PCOS, if you do have uterine fibroids, this can be seen, the black cohosh can be seen to help decrease those fibroids in size, up to 30% even if you were taking 40 milligrams of this daily. Okay, so if you have really painful uterine fibroids, this could be beneficial for you. And now I think for feminine health, I think that's about all I wanted to cover, related to regulation of your luteal phase and encourage your follicular phase and things like that. Because all that PCOS is the imbalance in your body's natural wave period, okay? And so in order for your body to function at its full capacity, every machine or every system has to be functioning at its full effect. So maybe if you do have PCOS, you may struggle more with anxiety. You may struggle more with bipolar symptoms, meaning like, back and forth, mood swings type of deal, or even just irritability. And if you are trying to get pregnant, and maybe you have seen your specialist and they've prescribed you Clomid. I don't know if you know what that is, but it's similar to the use of metformin, but it's specifically for fertility, Clomid is. And I have seen that if you utilize the Clomid with the black cohosh, you're going to be at a higher chance of conceiving because of the simple fact of the black cohosh regulating your body's natural estrogen levels, as well as the Clomid encouraging, the actual release of the ovum and all of the things. So, women's health is complex. Babies are complex. So that's why there's so much that goes into that, okay, guys? But touching back on the liver side of this plant medicinally, I did see that if you're on high levels of Tylenol, or if you're on any kind of anti-cholesterol drugs like atorvastatin or Lipitor, or if you drink significant amounts of alcohol, it's not really suggested to take the black cohosh because that is where your heightened risk for the liver damage come in. Okay, so just be careful with that. Now, I did want to kind of touch base a little bit more on the historical side. Okay, now we did say that this is native to Eastern North America and Canada, and more specifically in Appalachian regions and in Arkansas. I had saw something about that. Let me go, because I wrote it down. Yes, so I see here, it goes into the growing patterns of this plant. So in our National Geographic book, this is what the black cohosh plant looks like, okay? And it is even said to reference a bottle brush, which it very much does, okay? So what happens is whenever this blossoms and blooms, it's going to have these little pearlescent buds on the stem, okay? And this is what wild black cohosh looks like. There's no blooms, but this is what wild black cohosh looks like in Appalachia, okay? A lot of times in Appalachia, or even, I was saying Arkansas, this is one of those plants that is not hard to grow. It's going to grow in your more, like, foresty, deciduous regions. And I wanted to read what I had wrote here. So it thrives most in moist, shady woodlands. And it also flourishes on the sides of hills and slopes, okay? So I'm sorry, I thought I heard my phone ring, but if my phone rang, it would be ringing right there. I'm hearing things today. I'm sorry, y'all. Sometimes, maybe that's like spirit confirmation. I don't know. But sometimes I hear bells or songs. I don't know. It's weird. Anywhoosies, getting back to this. So, generally this is found on slopes and at the edges of forests, especially in Georgia, which is where your Appalachian region can be. And it goes up north too, but anywho, in your Appalachian regions and in Arkansas. So me being in Oklahoma, Arkansas is just kind of a stone's throw away. So this is something that even I could go out and forage and be able to utilize, right? And so it's going to look tall. Okay, we saw the stalks. on this picture, right here, the stalks. And it looks similar to a bottle brush covered in tiny little white pearls that are shaped like buds. Tiny white buds that are shaped like pearls. And surprisingly, even though that these are a flowering plant at first, they don't attract the bees. As a matter of fact, the bees are kind of scorned by this plant. This is actually a plant that is more known for its attraction of like beetles and root bugs, which is ironic because we utilize the roots of this plant and it ties into our root chakra, but it's kind of weird how everything ties together. But going back to the beetles and like the root bugs, that's where it gets its common names aside from black cohosh, like bugbane and bugwort, okay? Because it's going to be more attractive to beetles and flies even than it is to honeybees. And the most common time that you're going to be able to see this in the wild flowering is anywhere from May until early September. So if you're in the Arkansas region or Appalachian region, this may be the time that you could see this in the wild, okay? So moving on to the categorical side of this plant. This is actually kind of an interesting way that taxonomists had to look at this. So our very first taxonomist, Carl Linnaeus, who I've referenced before, he was like the father of taxonomy, okay? He was the one that created the book called the U.S. Pharmacopoeia, and this is way back from the 19th century. And in his book that he wrote, it had every plant, genus, species name out there for, the plants that were recognized, right? And so this plant was known in his 19th century book as black snake root. And it's ironic because we use the roots and the rhizomes, which are the underground roots, for the medicines, tinctures, and capsules that we use today. And he did research that this had been helpful in treating everything from snake bites all the way up to the gynecological issues, even as extensive as childbirth, because women did use this in the childbirth setting, okay, because of the anti-inflammatory effects and other things. But I thought that was interesting that this has been used ever since the 19th century. But you know what? There's always got to be that one person that comes around and he's got to like try to shake things up a bit, right? So we have this one gentleman that comes around, and his name, don't let me lie to you, his name was Thomas Nuttall. I think is how you say that. Nuttall. Okay. This was an English botanist who, far after Carl Linnaeus was famous and probably dead and gone, this botanist, okay, and zoologist was like, I don't know, man. I really don't know. I really don't think that the way that the follicles that are from these plants, I don't think that the way that they dry, I really don't think that it's closer to the Actiae, which is the name for the elm trees. So instead, he renamed it I'm going to butcher it, Simicifiga, which is a species name for buttercup. Okay, so the buttercup flowers that we see, buttercup, shake me up. I don't know why that song came to my mind. But anyways, this gentleman, Thomas Nuttall, was like, we're going to rename it. So if you see black cohosh online, on Wikipedia especially, I do not utilize Wikipedia for my research. There's just, anybody can hop on there and put information. So normally I'm going to go to like USDA or any other website that I can find that has information, or even like looking at the Britannica. It's got all kinds of species of plants and all of their properties and everything. But all of that to be said, you may see this plant not labeled as the normal Actiae racemosa, okay? This could be noted as the Simica fuga racemosa instead, because we have to honor in history both Carl Linnaeus and Thomas Newton, because they both contributed so much to science and history that both things are observed as correct. Okay, so now that we are kind of seeing the renaming, we've seen what the medicinal side of things, we've seen how long this has been used, right? But now I want to touch energetically on how this plant affects the body, okay? So most specifically, we tie the root chakra to the black cohosh herb or plant, okay? Not only do we utilize the roots of the plant, but we also see the adrenal effects, regulating our hormone levels and things like that. So that is why I think that the black cohosh is so tied to the root chakra. Now, the root chakra is located on your spine, at the base of the spine, at your L5 to S5 vertebrae, so your lumbar 5 to your sacral 5 vertebrae, okay? And it's going to help regulate all of the hormones in your body that are going to promote function, okay? So any important function in your body, that means, all of your stress hormones, your stress, the thumbs up came up again, your stress hormones, your sex hormones. So for women, estrogen, progesterone, it's going to affect that. And it's also going to affect our body's response for survival, okay? So our sacral and root chakra are gonna both tie into like courage, your foundation, okay? And I think with the foundation, that is going to lead me into the sacral chakra portion. So some herbs only really resonate with one chakra and some more than one. So I also related this herb, the black cohosh, to the sacral chakra as well, because the sacral chakra is all about our reproductive health. So sexuality, fertility, the cycle of life, birth, and that type of deal. So that's another reason why I really wanted to touch on the sacral chakra as well. Because with the black cohosh, you are overall, on a feminine standpoint, looking at the entire reproductive health, okay? Because this herb or plant is going to regulate the entire reproductive health side of you, feminine, okay? Now, the sacral chakra is going to be right above your root chakra. So lumbar 5 to sacral 5 is where the root chakra is. And T9 to L4 is where your sacral chakra is. So thoracic 9 to lumbar 4. Okay, so those are the regions that these are going to be at. Now, we all know that I love crystals, and we all know that I love rocks, okay? So some of the rocks that could be correlated with these two chakras, specifically the root chakra, we have here what I'm wearing, okay? So this is it garnet? I don't remember if it's a ruby or a garnet. Let me look. I don't want to lie. I'm pretty sure it's a garnet. Yes, it is a garnet. Sorry, I couldn't think. But my birthstone is a ruby because I'm a Cancer. But rubies tie in strong with your root chakra. Bloodstone ties in with your root chakra. Red jasper ties in with your root chakra. Obsidian, hematite. Okay. So this is actually a pretty heavy stone. I don't know if you guys have ever held hematite or not, but These are all related to the root chakra, okay? Grounding, bringing you back to your base, right? And hematite specifically. This helps regulate the different alloys and metals in your blood. And so that specifically is why hematite is tied to the blood, and the root chakra and all of the things. Now, as for your sacral chakra, you're looking at more yellowy orange tone things. So I don't have it with me, but sunstone is one that you can use. Amber, carnelian. This is yellow citrine. Well, this one might be okay. Yeah, I mean, you see how it's kind of orangey yellowy. And amber is more of a yellowy orangey color. But I don't know. I don't want to get too much on that because solar plexus is kind of right above that. And that's more of a yellow for me. So anyways, they all go together because the Kundalini is the balance of all of the chakras and all of the energies and all of the things anyways, okay, guys? So everything can be imbalanced, but it's good to know the things that can help you balance it, okay? So, I was just making sure I didn't forget anything, guys. Oh yeah, so aside from your chakras that it's attached to, okay, the big metaphysical thing that I saw used for Black Cohosh, aside from the treatments for women's health ailments, is metaphysically the Black Cohosh can be used in sachets for protection, right? And it's also helpful for people that are dealing with shyness, timidness, and fear. Okay? And what do we see with our root chakra? The root chakra has, it affects our courage and security. So I just thought that was really interesting. But I hope you guys like the message today. I don't think I have anything else left for our metaphysical or medicinal side of our Black Cohosh. I always am thankful whenever you guys come to the channel and see what I have to share with you. Please like, please subscribe. I'm trying to build the audience to share the good news, to share all of these wonderful knowledge and tips about the earth around us and nature around us and how we can take matters into our own hands, of course, with spirit and help make positive changes in our life, okay? But until next time, guys, I hope this is helpful. Please share the message, and until next time.